Friends said you wouldn't make it. Family said what, and I felt like I made it, and now I felt like it was all gone. Information turns to knowledge, knowledge turns to wisdom over time. My energy, like literally, I'll start getting goosebumps before I go on. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna light these guys up. Oh, they deserve exactly what I'm getting. I'm all fired up, and people are like, how do you have so much energy? Like, how could you not? If you don't have energy for what you do, go do something else. We hesitate sometimes because we're afraid people and friends might make fun of us. Who gives a shit? They don't make statues of critics.
Welcome back to Refusing to Settle. I am your host, Clark. Guys, we have the legendary Dean Graziosi in the house. If you've never heard of Dean, it's hard to sum up his accomplishments in one short intro. I mean, he's written multiple New York Times best-selling books, dominated infomercials, run several companies, partnered with Tony Robbins himself for the biggest launch in internet history, keynote speaker all around the world, real estate guru, the list goes on. But he didn't always start there. In fact, in this interview, you're going to hear how he is a self-proclaimed underdog and was literally sleeping in the bathroom at one point with his dad and fixing cars and going from very humble beginnings. And that no matter where it starts or if you consider yourself an underdog, why that's actually your unique advantage and how you can get the success despite any circumstances you're facing. You ready for the show? You ready to get fired up? Let's dive in now. Please welcome
the one, the only, Dean Graziosi.
Awesome being here, man. Let's do it. Let's do this.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. Literally, there's a list of 5 people I wanted to interview. Your name is on there.
Oh, cool. I feel honored.
It's awesome. But hey, before we get into your story and everything, I know you're the Motor Millions man, and I bought a 65 Mustang. Okay, so a classic, fastback, everything. And I got it for about $40,000. And then some guy the other day came up and offered me $80 for it. Would you sell that?
Personally, yes. But unless that's your dream car that you want to keep for the rest of your life, then there's no value that could be put on it.
Okay.
If you bought it as an investment, let it fly. If you bought it because it's something that, you know, when you were broke and struggling and that was your dream car, then get it done, make it look beautiful. And even if you never drive it, but you walk out in your driveway and you look at it or in your garage, you're like, I created this value in my life and it makes you feel good, then keep it.
Okay.
Right? There's no money worth that.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when people say your house is an investment. I don't buy my house as an investment. I buy it because it's where I raise my family and live with my wife. I don't care what the investment is, right? I make money in other places.
Well, I bought the car because, you know, everyone's like Lambos and all these nice cars and luxury vehicles, but for me it was the classics. I just saw them and that was
awesome. Mustangs were my thing too, so pretty cool. Listen, I just want to say this, Clark. First off, I want to congratulate you for being in the industry that you're in. You know, we were sitting here talking before we got started, and there's all kinds of, you know, we're going to deliver massive value today. Just so you know, I'm not doing this to waste my time. I'm not doing this to waste Clark's time or yours especially. We're all crazy busy. So if you're going to spend the next 45 minutes or so, I promise you I'm going to give you everything I possibly can. That's what I'm here to serve. But I just told Clark, he's 28, I'm 50, going to be 51, oh my God, in a couple days. But when I was young, and depending on what age you are, you might have grown up knowing YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and if you want to access someone who could give you capabilities like Clark is doing, working so hard to interview people, to gain knowledge, to share it with you, to give you an unfair advantage, it's so awesome that you're here. It's just part of your life. You go on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, you try to find an influencer or somebody successful you can model. When I was a kid, and I wanted more out of life. There was nothing. And I had dyslexia, so I wasn't good at reading. And I was trying to find mentors. Luckily, I found Tony Robbins off an infomercial. But the reason I'm so passionate about serving, and the reason if you're listening or watching right now why I want to give you everything I can is because I didn't have access to this. My guidance counselor told me when I was in high school, when I decided not to go to college, she said, oh, you're not going to college? And she literally told me about the only company in our town that was hiring at minimum wage. She didn't say there's self-education, go find a mentor, get in a mastermind, read a book. It was like college or you're screwed. There was nothing in between. So this is a passion of mine to give back because now we have access. You're watching us. You didn't have to pay to watch us. You didn't have to do anything except be here and gain capability. So for that, I just want to say good job, man, because the world needs more access to specialized knowledge, and that's what we're doing.
So take me back then for our listeners who maybe this is their first or second time, they don't know your story. Tell me about the Motor Millions or how you got into what you're doing now.
I feel blessed to be at a place I'm at now. I'm blessed to have multiple New York Times best-selling books and sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of products and courses and real estate and all these great things. It all sounds good now, but I went through hell to get here and started with nothing. So no matter where you are, if you're in a job you hate and you're dying to be self-employed, I've been there. If you're trying to sell your first course and it's not working, I've been there. If you've sold 100 courses but you don't know how to scale your business, I've been there. I've been broke, lived in a trailer trailer park, got evicted from our trailer when we were kids, and I've also been blessed to live in the house of my dreams and live the life I want. So no matter where you are, I've been there. So I think I'll tell my story only so you can realize that. So real quick, I grew up in upstate New York in a tiny little town, and I watched my mom and dad work really hard. They split when I was 3, but they both worked really hard to have nothing. And at a young age, I equated that hard work didn't equal success and financial gain, right? And nor did it equal happiness. They were always worried about money. That's all they ever talked about, right? Because there was a lack of it, right? We only worry about money when there's a lack of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
have you? We've been sitting here for 10, 15 minutes. Have you thought about oxygen?
No.
Have you thought about
Not
the air?
once.
Why? Because it's abundant.
Yeah.
You breathe. It's
Yeah.
not here. You don't think about it, right? But if, and I wouldn't because you're bigger than me, but if I choked you and you couldn't breathe, the only thing you would think about is air.
Oxygen.
And oxygen, right? So that's what money is. When you have an abundance of money, you think about changing the world. You think about becoming a better version of yourself. You think about being a better husband, a better boyfriend, a better girlfriend.
Wow.
You think about being a better parent. You think about getting into personal growth deeper. You get a therapist. We just got done feeding 6 million people through Feeding America. We just passed 6 million meals provided. You think about helping the world. I got goosebumps.
Yeah,
because
that's crazy.
when money is not a thought anymore, is when you truly can become a better version of yourself. It doesn't make you a better person. It allows you to evolve because it's not choking you. But when money doesn't come in, unfortunately, that's all you think about. And you don't have time to be better in your relationship, a better dad, a better friend, a better, eat healthier, personal growth. Because fuck, I gotta make the money. So the reason I love to help people get the money out of the way is so they can evolve and become a better version of themselves. So with that said, I realized at a young age that money was one of the reasons our family stressed. The reason I moved 20 times by the time I was 19, and my parents got married and divorced a lot. And I just had this I'm getting money out of the way. I didn't know how. I had dyslexia, didn't go to college, didn't come from money, had no role models, but I just knew there was more. And I bet to say if you're listening, you know there's more for you. You know that and one of the reasons I felt like an underdog, we'll talk about that later. My new book's called The Underdog Advantage because I felt like an underdog. I felt like I had no privileges. I had nobody helping me. I'm sure you felt the same way. I read your bio and I got feedback from Brian on your story. Like you just feel like there's nobody here to support me, but you knew you were going to do it. Didn't know how. And maybe that's where you're at. And I just went after it. And I started cutting firewood in high school. I started fixing old cars in high school and then selling them. Then I got a collision shop. Then I got a used car sales. Then I started buying real estate. Then I started subdividing land. Then I got apartments. And I went up and down and had no money and sleepless nights and stressed and didn't have mentors. But I finally, by 25, a little bit younger than you, I started getting some real good momentum.
So can I pause right there, Dean?
Yeah,
Ask you
yeah.
a question. So the people watching right now, they're learning, they're watching videos like this, they're reading the self-development books, and they might be thinking, okay, what's all this for? Where's this all going? Like, how do I know this is going to pay off one day? And so they're like, I have this self-development, I'm going to seminars for what?
Here's the thing. If you trust wisdom, right? I think information turns to knowledge, knowledge turns to wisdom over time. And the only thing I can say is I'm 51, I've been self-employed since I was 17. So I got, 33 years of being an entrepreneur. So if you want to just take a little bit of wisdom, I'll tell you that in my 20s, I would say I was 100%, give me the tactics, give me the strategy. Is it Shopify? Is it real estate? Is it being in the knowledge business? Do I run masterminds? Do I sell widgets? Just give me the fucking thing, I'm ready to go. Yeah. I always thought it was the tactics. Like for me, it was like, is it cars? Is it real estate? And then in my 30s, it started to adjust. By my 40s, I realized the tactic, the strategy, the tool was maybe 25%. Now going into my 50s, it's 5% to me. It's all mindset. What allows me to be successful, Clark, is not I'm a multiple New York Times bestselling author. I was successful with a collision shop, successful in my firewood business, successful auto sales, massively successful in real estate. I've bought and sold thousands of houses. Live events, right? I launched the course Knowledge Business Blueprint with Tony Robbins, the biggest launch in internet history. Yeah. I can't say that was all tactics or I got lucky. It's because I got this rock solid, unbreakable mindset that took me a long time to get, and I wish I focused on it earlier.
So that's the thing I wanted to ask you about. I know we're jumping ahead and we'll get back to your story, but this is really important. I was talking to our friend Brian, and I'm like, I'm so fascinated by how Dean's had success in so many different industries. What's the first thing he really mastered? Because I know once you master that first thing, it carries over.
Yeah.
And that's what people watching, they're like, okay, I'm learning, I'm acquiring, but how do I use this? What's that first thing? Would you say it's the mindset as high income skill?
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason I wrote Millionaire Success Habits. It's like I want to ethically bribe people to go set a foundation for success because people aren't going to believe in you. The rug's going to get pulled out from underneath you. You're going to have self-doubt and be like, shit, I should just settle and get that job and do what everybody says. You're going to think about satisfying your parents, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, and friends, and go taking that status quo job. All the things you think could go wrong are going to go wrong, and probably twice as much. So even if, this is a silly analogy I've been using forever, even if Clark and I were here today and said, oh my God, I figured out this thing for you guys. I'm going to show you how to sell $20 bills for $10. Think about that. Your whole job is you get a stack of $20 bills and you go around selling for 10. Most people would still screw that up. They'd be like, I don't know if that's for real. I don't know if it can work where I live. Hey, where I live, people don't like $20 bills. They're more into $100 bills. Like, our mindset triggers us and throws us off in different directions, doubts ourselves, and we play, this is what I say, if your confidence gets dinged a little bit while you're in this Shopify, real estate, starting a mastermind, writing a book, fitness world, if your confidence gets dinged a little bit and you question yourself just a little bit, then you hesitate just a little bit. And there's people out there that are going to go by you 100 miles an hour, and you'll turn around, you'll be 80 years old and go, what the hell did I do? Why did I hesitate? Why did I wait? So the reason I speak from mountaintops, the reason I wrote Millionaire Success Habits and my new book, Underdog Advantage, because I want people to have that fearless foundation. No matter what you want in life, it's attainable, it's achievable, but I believe mindset and foundation and personal growth is 90% of it. You get that dialed in, man, plug in anything. Like I said, I've been blessed to do real estate and cars and sell firewood and books and live events and courses. And
what was the first $1 million you made for people curious about that?
Real estate.
Real estate?
Real estate. So back to my story. I know I can go all over the place, and you can tell I'm passionate about this. So sorry, just if you got ADD like me, just listen to this 2 or 3 times, and you can extract the wisdom. And the other thing I'll say is take what serves you from this conversation and throw the rest away. You don't have to learn a million things, but if there's 1 or 2 that hit your heart, take it and go implement it, act on it fast. But back to the story. Real quick, I'm doing cars and real estate. I start buying subdivided land, and just like I would bet to say you guys here, my family and friends told me I was nuts even when I got into real estate. Nevertheless, in the information business, oh my God, when I was going to shoot an infomercial, my sister had to sit down with me like an intervention, telling me like, you're crazy, you're going to lose everything, you're going past your knowledge and your skill set, and it was like I was on drugs, but I was trying to be an entrepreneur, right? But when I start in real estate, everybody thought I was crazy, and I bought this plot of land. I didn't even have the money. I borrowed from one person, put some on credit cards, and it was in my 20s that I subdivided that, sold off pieces of it, and then built houses, and I made $1 million at 20, probably 26.
Wow.
25 or 26, I made $1 million on that piece of property. But around the same time,
go ahead. Can I pause you?
Yeah,
what did that feel like? People listening, that's their dream. It's like, if I can hit $1 million, what is that feeling? Then I'll be happy, then I'll have everything.
Okay, so I'll tell you what happened. I hit $1 million. My chakras aligned, the sky parted, I heard the heavens speak. No, none of that shit happened. I went to work the next day. Nothing changes. Listen, I dreamed someday I could make $1,000 a week. And when I passed $1,000 a week, I don't remember that day. I dreamed someday I could do 100 grand a year. I passed that, I didn't know what happened. I dreamed my company could do $1 million in a year. I blew past that, never even thought about it. I dreamed 10 million, 50 million. My brand and my company had years doing over 100 million a year. Never stopped, never paused, got back up. To me, and I don't know any successful person where they're like, oh my God, like you should celebrate the wins. There's different ways to celebrate the wins. But when you're an accomplishment-based entrepreneur, when you're an impact-based entrepreneur, when you always want to grow and become a better version of yourself, all the things you think are your thresholds really aren't. Do you know the things I remember? I remember when I got to a point where I could do what I want, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. I raised my kids today at 3 o'clock. Wouldn't matter if you were here offering me $1 billion campaign. At 2:40, I will leave this building. Brian's sitting here. I'll leave this building. Nothing in the world could stop me, because at 2:55, I'll be outside my kids' classroom. When they come out of class, they come see their dad, and I'm there. And I'll be there until they tell me I can't be anymore. Tonight, when my son plays his baseball game at 6:45, I'll be there at 6 o'clock practice, warming him up for pitching, because he's pitching in the championship game. And every time he throws a strike and looks over, he's going to see his dad smiling at him. Yeah. I remember that shit. I don't remember my first $1 million. I don't remember when a buddy of mine bought me a $75,000 watch. I don't even wear it. But I remember those things. And when you evolve, and listen, there's nothing wrong with wanting the fancy cars and the watches, and it's all awesome. But I promise you, it's a phase. Even I see you sitting here, you look amazing, dressed to a T, dude. You're 10 years away from t-shirts. I'll tell you right now.
I hope so.
I'm telling you right now.
I haven't earned the right to wear t-shirts.
You'll get to a point where you'll realize when you're success, because you're growing and you're doing amazing, you'll get to a point where, and maybe not, maybe this is the way you love to dress. What I should say is you're 10 years away from realizing that it's not the money, it's the ability to do what you want when you want to do it. I want to raise my kids dressed the way. I have 100 of these t-shirts. That's all I freaking wear. It's not because I want you to wear a t-shirt or you. It's what I want to do. And today when I want to pick up my kids, I want to. And when I want to go away in the middle of summer and take a month off so I can be with my kids before they go off to college, I want to do that. And I will fight for that. I will die for that. So I know we're kind of all over on this, but through that evolution, I remember that first million, but it didn't really shift me. And the biggest shifts in my life, so just know that evolution. My teachers, family thought I was nuts, just probably like you feel. I felt like a massive underdog. I thought that was the thing holding me back. Now at this phase of my life, I realized being an underdog was actually my gift, and we'll talk more about that later. It was my blessing. It was creating the grit, the knowledge, the wisdom to be successful in all these different things. But when your life will change, and this is just my opinion, when your life will change will not be when you have $1 million in the bank. You won't, I don't think you'll remember that day. Some people might be obsessed on it, but I've never met a successful person that has. The day your life will change is when you realize that you've gone through the shit, you've overcome when people told you couldn't, you found another level of yourself, you tapped into your full potential and you're still growing, and you get to make the decisions and the choices you want to make when you want to make it. Nobody tells you what to do anymore. I know a phase in my life when I stopped. I used to think I had to go to the fancy parties when I was invited. I don't anymore. The fancy fundraisers. I'll send a check, but I don't go. I don't care about being seen at the most fancy place. I just bought a pickup truck because I haven't had a pickup truck in 20 years. I bought a pickup truck because I wanted to. F-150, put some big tires on it. I love it. I love it. When you don't have to make decisions because of anyone else, I remember that. And I also remember that I've messed up in relationships. I've messed up friendships. I've messed up in business. I still had old lingering beliefs that my parents gave me that didn't serve them, but they were handed down to me, and it took me years to get them out. When I got money out of the way and I was able to focus on me and obsess more on personal growth and myself and being a better dad and hire consultants to be a better husband, a better dad, and all those things, I got to figure out who I was, and I stopped running away from the old me and I became the best version of me. And I think those are the things that if you're gonna fight for something, because if you fight for the watch, if you fight for the car, the tough days you're gonna turn back. If you fight for a better version of you that can serve your family, can serve your future children or children you have, can serve your spouse at the highest level, so you can look at the end of your life and go, I love the man I became or the woman I became. I love the values that I hold. I love the culture I created in my house. That's worth fighting for. That's worth listening to this, watching this video. That's worth trying the business. That's worth going to masterminds. That's worth reading the books. That's worth staying up late at night. It is worth it 1,000 times over. I had a bleeding ulcer in my 20s, so worried about all the things I was trying to get away from. I've stressed, I've stayed up all night. And all of it was worth it 100% because I have a whole bunch of friends, and you probably do too, Clark, that are living someone else's life. They're told when to show up to work. They're told when they can go on vacation. They're told what outfit, uniform they have to wear at work. They're told if they can't pick up their kids from school because they get off before. That's worth fighting for. That's worth watching videos. That's worth getting into personal growth, and that's why I'm so passionate about it.
I think it's the metrics too. Like the lowest common denominator of how you measure success is the material.
Of course.
Because that's like, if I have this, then I'm successful, because that's the only way you can measure it. But the intangibles, what you were talking about with mindset, the freedom, picking up your kids, there's no price on it, so it's easy to push it away and not see it as valuable.
Yeah, and I think through evolution, if you're in your 20s and you're watching this, it'll happen on its own.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be, I don't wanna sound like the old dude in the room, but fuck, I wish someone would have shaken me a little more earlier and said, listen, what would you rather have, this or fucking freedom of choice for the rest of your life and to grow to become the best version of you? Like, think about this, whether you're religious or not. Think about the end of your life, Clark. Mm-hmm. You're with your maker. You're 100 years old, you die, you go to heaven, you're sitting down with God. Mm-hmm. And he says to you, so how'd you do, Clark? And you're like, I was gonna try some things, but I wanted to play it safe, and I wanted to create stability for my family. I wanted to, I lived a good life. I think God would be like, oh shit, another one. Really? I make you human, I put you on earth, I give you a brain, I gave you the ability to conquer the world, and you play it freaking safe? Sorry, dude, no second chances. You get to go to heaven, but you can't go back down there. Like, you'd be like, oh, no, let me try again. Please, let me go at this again. Right? Like, I think about that shit every single day. I want to squeeze everything God gave me, the world, universe, whatever you believe in gave me. And we hesitate sometimes because we're afraid people and friends might make fun of us. Who gives a shit? They don't make statues of critics. All my buddies I went to school with thought I was absolutely insane. I love these guys. They're awesome. All of them were like, oh, Dean's a dreamer. There was a point when I started trying more things. A lot of them separated from me because like, oh, Mr. Big Shot and all that shit. Yeah. They're all doing the same exact shit, complaining about the same shit, complaining about the president. They're all doing the same. I love these guys. But every time I see them, they talk about the good old days.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
I talk about the good days that are coming tomorrow.
Well, that's good.
Right?
I love that.
So if you think about all that, like, are you going to let someone's opinion stop you? So if that's not, then what is it? Is it a story? Do you tell yourself, I'd do it if I had more money? I'd do it if my family supported me. I'd do it if there was a different president. I'd do it if Facebook and Instagram and YouTube weren't so hard to crack. Oh, wow, you're going to do shit anyway. You're going to work for someone else anyway. You're going to have you're going to deal with shit. You might as well deal with your own shit. And how you do this, anchor in who you want to become when you're dead, or who you want to become right now. Figure that out and fight for it because it's worth it. And don't let a story, don't let a person, don't let the economy, don't let outside voices, don't let the news, don't let all those other things distract you, because at the end of the day, none of them mean anything. And the only thing that means is if you could tap into a better version of you.
Two things I want to highlight out of that beautiful clip, man. I want to go back and re-listen to that every single morning. The first is talking about regret and at the end of your life.
Right.
I think it was you in an interview who said the two most dangerous words are remember when.
Yeah.
And people are just always trying to go back to that. But the second is talking about the people who are on the sidelines versus the people who are actually playing the game. That's something we talk about a lot on this channel. It's like, who gets paid the most? The person in the game, that's what they pay the top athletes. That's why they get paid millions and millions of dollars. Or the person sitting at home yelling about what play the coach should have ran, eating Cheetos and drinking beer and whatever. It's so much easier to be in this camp, but this camp is where you get all the hate.
Yep.
So I think people, they want to be in this camp.
Yeah.
But this is the path of least resistance.
Yeah, right? It's the Theodore Roosevelt quote, right? The man in the arena. I'm going to paraphrase it, but basically it says, never again will I listen to those in the stands who are yelling, judging. The only people I'm going to listen to are those down on the field getting bloody and marred and playing the game like I am. At the end of my life, the best could be is that I went after it, not worrying about what other people thought. And I achieved everything that I went after. But even if I didn't achieve it, I could still end my life knowing I tried rather than just being judgmental in the stands. Way better quote from Theodore Roosevelt. He said it in France when he was president. You should Google it and see it. But the way I look at that is what happens is people judge from the outside. And I think we all start, so look at this stupid analogy. I love this. Thank you for bringing this up. I think we all start out with jerseys on, with our own name on our back. Right? And we're all like, okay, I'm getting after this. I'm not settled. I'm not going to live like my parents did. I'm going to go after it. And then life chips you away, and then the news, and then your friends, then a teacher says, don't be a dreamer. And all these little things cumulatively add up. And then one day you're like, well, maybe that's not meant for me. And then all of a sudden, there's a day where you take off your shirt and you put someone else's name on your back. And that's it. Life's over. You don't live your life anymore. Right? So I don't want to be a guy, and I don't mean this disrespectfully if you're a sports fan, this is just an analogy, but I don't want to be in the stands wearing someone else's shirt, judging them, he could have ran the ball down the sidelines, that was a long play. No, screw that. I want to be in the game, and if I fumble, I'll fumble a shit ton of times, but eventually I'll get in the end zone because I'm in the game. And that's how you got to feel. Remember, I think I said this before, they don't make statues of critics. Being a critic doesn't get you anywhere. So just know that being an entrepreneur also, I know I'm all over the place, man, sorry. Being an entrepreneur also is a lonely world because it takes years to find a small group of people that think like you do. You see the way you and Brian get along? You'll acquire friends like this forever, and you'll end up being older and you'll have 5 or 6 really close friends that think like you because the rest of the world doesn't think like you. If you're watching Clark, if you're watching me, if you're still here, you think different than most people. You feel lonely in your thoughts. You feel weird sometimes. You feel like a dreamer sometimes. You feel like you should get more real, right? That's all nonsense. That's programming of the majority. You want to be the loud minority who breaks free from all that, and you keep your name on the back of your jersey.
Part of being in the arena is definitely failure, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious about your story when we're talking about the journey. What was like your biggest failure and the lessons you learned from it? Was there a low point where you're like, I want to take my jersey off. I want to put someone else's off because that'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, really great question. All the time. All the time. I've failed, I can't say there's like this big failure. There was lots of failures. It seems like every 2 years of my life I make a bad choice or go down the wrong road and be too aggressive, go too fast in a new company, or stick with a company I shouldn't have too long, or maybe partner with somebody that didn't have exactly the right values I did and I thought I could change their values, right?
Yeah.
So there's been lots of failures. There was one time, and just so you know, there was multiple times where I wanted to rip the jersey off my back and I thought to myself, everybody was right. One of my biggest, sick to my stomach failures, sleepless nights, stressed out, is I was in the collision business, fixing cars, selling cars, real estate, apartments, building houses, and I decided to go because of Tony Robbins. I bought his course off an infomercial, gave me personal development, shifted my life. I was like, oh my God, this guy, this knowledge is priceless. I just believed every word he said. I started living that life, and that's what my life.
Which course was it?
It was his first one. It was a cassette, Ultimate Power.
Oh, Personal Power?
Personal Power, yeah. It was Personal Power. And then later on it was the Ultimate Edge.
Get the Edge,
yeah. Right? So I
remember that music.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Yeah, it sticks in your head, right? So I get that, and I just shift the way I think, and I'm just going after it, and I'm evolving. And now, because Tony changed my life through an infomercial, I create a course, you said before, Motor Millions. I taught people how to make money with cars like I did, and I'm going to go do an infomercial just like Tony did. This guy changed my life. I want to help other people. So I take every dollar I have. I go against every single human being alive. I film an infomercial. I have no idea how to get it on camera. I have no idea how to get it on TV. I start calling TV stations completely clueless. I look back, I was so naive, I want to laugh at myself. But persistence, I finally got on TV, started to work a little, and then that's why I live out in Arizona. I hired some people that were really good at that out here, so I was flying from New York to Arizona. In New York, I fixed cars during the day, I worked on my apartments and houses at night, drove a tow truck at night, buy and flip houses. And then I'd stay there for 2 weeks, and then I'd fly to Arizona for a week, and I'd come and start my knowledge business. I was working my infomercial and deciding how to do customer service and shipping and product and books and coaching and I did that for 2 years going back and forth. And the truth is the real estate and the cars supported the information business because I was losing a shit ton of money. And this is on YouTube, and I probably swear too much, so you're gonna have to bleep all those out.
Okay, we don't care about ad revenue.
Okay. So I'm going back and forth, and I finally build up Motor Millions to not a massively successful company. I bet you we were a $8 million a year company. Small profit, but I'm learning and growing. I've made miserable mistakes, and I'm trying to figure out customer service and shipping. I learned every part of the business. Then I got a book. It's not like YouTube and Facebook. I have to go to a media agency and buy time on a commercial that could be $5,000. And if I buy the 6 a.m. rather than the 5 a.m., I lose all my money. So I'm learning ROI on TV stations and direct response and upsells and cross sells. And that's why I know all this stuff now, because of those days, right? So it happens for me, not to me. I had to learn how to do TV where if you messed up, you lost $200,000 like that. You mess up on an online ad or a Facebook ad, what do you go, oh, I spent $50, shut that ad off. I'd be like, oh my God, we're booked for 2 months, right? So I'm obsessing on all this stuff. I finally get the company up to 10, 12 million, and I want to move on, and I want to teach people how to do real estate now, because real estate really made me a millionaire. Cars built my core income. Real estate had made me a millionaire. So I built a course called Think a Little Different, and I'm going to launch an infomercial on how to invest in real estate the way I do. And I kind of want out of Motor Millions. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I learned in my life. Do you ever have something new in your life and you're so sick of the old one and you resent the old one, you resent the old job, you resent the old podcast, I want to do this new thing, but this thing is anchoring me. You got to shift that out of your mind, because that's the biggest mistakes of my life happened there. So what I did was I wanted to go on to Think a Little Different. Rather than giving the attention this needed and loving it for bringing me here, I started resenting it, right? So now I make a fast, hasty move, and I sell Motor Millions to another company. And I go on to work on Think a Little Different. Done there, I move on. All of a sudden, this company, I held the note for the sale. whatever it was, $5 million or something like that. I hold the note, and the merchant was still in my name for 6 months. Long story short, this company, because I avoided it and it was like, I'm done with it, this company ran up like $2 million in debt. They didn't pay refunds. They didn't serve the clients like I did. So now I'm on to my new thing, and I get sucked back into this company.
Wow.
And when I find out that they didn't pay refunds, I find out that people are online pissed off at me, even though I don't own the company anymore. And it was like the biggest, like I remember those times you said the biggest failure. Think about feeling a kid that didn't go to high school, friends said you wouldn't make it, family said what, and I felt like I made it, and now I felt like it was all gone. Like I gotta go to court to fight to take the company back. I go to court, I win. What did I win? It was like I sold a racehorse and they broke its legs and I had to pay for it to get back.
Yeah.
I get the company back, it's $2 million in debt. The infomercial's not working anymore, and I don't have the income. $2 million to me, this is 15 years ago, was like $1 million because I invested all the money I did have into the Think a Little Different real estate course. So now this one didn't get off the ground yet, and this one's $2 million in debt. And I remember just like crying, legit, like as a man crying, go, I screwed up. Maybe everybody was right. I'm not smart enough. I should have had better counsel. I don't know how to run business. I'm good at marketing, but maybe I don't know structure and SOPs and KPIs, and I'm dumb. And I went all back to the limiting beliefs that we all have. And when I stopped feeling sorry for myself, I pulled myself back up and leaned in on personal growth, went back and listened to old Tony Robbins tapes. I got my personal, incantation, or like I remember saying, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. I spent like 3 months working out every morning, and I'd walk or jog to the gym, and I'd say, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. And I didn't change anything in the outside world. I changed me on the inside through personal growth, through foundational pieces I teach in my books and all those pieces. And I got myself nothing. Think about this. Nothing else changed. I still sold a business dumb to somebody else. I still was in $2 million in debt. I still had clients mad at me even though I didn't do it. I still didn't have any cash to cover it. I still couldn't launch Think a Little Different because I didn't have the money to fix it. I was still in the same thing, but all of a sudden one day, because of personal development, I'm like, I got this. I can do this. I hired 2 people to call every client that was owed money. Every client that was owed money, and we told them the truth. We told them exactly what happened and said, but Dean wants to pay you. My attorney told me to file bankruptcy on the company. I wouldn't. And we just said, hey, I know you're owed $1,000. Any chance Dean can pay you $100 a month? 90% of the people said, yeah, let him, tell Dean I'm sorry that happened. Let him pay me by the month. And 10% of the people were like, screw Dean, tell him to pay me now.
Wow.
What I did is I let 2 or 3 people obsess on those clients. Sorry, the story gets long, but I want you to know, like,
good.
I let 2 or 3 people obsess on those clients, and I put all my effort and energy into Think a Little Different. I launched that infomercial. It started generating me money. I remember I was netting about 15 or 20 grand a week, like within 3 months. And I remember every week I'd look at that 20 grand, I'd be like, oh my God, that's awesome. I'd take 2 grand out for me and I'd put it over into Motor Millions. And I did that for like so long. It was so painful. But there was a time when I paid 100% of that off, and every customer was satisfied. I shut that company down and then took off on the real estate training and education that went on to do extremely well. I think we became the #1 trainer on the planet in that space, impacting lives all over. And as much as that hurt, even I can remember the emotions. I can remember the sleepless nights. I can remember I had a cordless phone. It wasn't cell phones. I had a big old cordless phone with a thing on it. I remember smashing it against the wall in a million pieces. Like I was so mad and so upset, but personal growth got me through. Thinking strategically got me through. And it was meant for me. Like, so the one thing I want to tell you, if you're going through a really hard time right now, I'm sorry. And it sucks. And it doesn't mean you should feel good about it. It doesn't mean you can go, oh, it's meant for me. No, that doesn't help. But I promise you, it's you just paying your success tax. It's God or the universe putting you through something that if you can come out through the other side, your next level of life lives on the other side of it. I promise you, whatever you're fearful of, whatever you're afraid of, whatever makes you hesitate, if you turn and face it, your next level lives on the other side of that. When I got through with that, I was freaking like seasoned. Like I was battle tested, right? Like I just pulled a company that should have went bankrupt. I paid everybody off, and now I got a thriving company. I'm ready for the next one. I learned what not to do the next time. I could have never gotten that experience unless the universe put me through it, right? So again, if you're going through a tough time, just know, I promise you, it's there for a reason. Again, you don't have to like it, but take the lessons from it and apply it moving forward.
How important is it then when you have something tough, whether that's the loss of a business, a breakup, a divorce, whatever, to allow that little grieving period there before just like going hard on the motivation and being like, you know what, it didn't happen, and kind of almost ignoring it?
Yes, oh, great question. It's so funny because it's just a different evolution. I would have said, if you asked me that question in my 20s and 30s, I would be like, suck it up.
Yeah.
Just freaking go into the motivation, get it done.
Next day.
And next day, like screw that shit. Just let it go. And that's wrong, because what you're really doing, you never move on. You just take it and you hide it someplace inside of you, and eventually it bubbles up. And for me, that bubbled up. I did a lot of that in my 20s and 30s. In my 40s, it bubbled up big time. Especially I went through a divorce in my 40s. And a lot of those things I hid for all those years just came exploding out. I ended up having anxiety and I was freaking out. I'm like, where's this coming from? It's because I tucked it down forever. And now I've learned since then, especially Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul, is an amazing book to let you realize we are supposed to feel it. We're not supposed to keep it. We're supposed to feel it. So when you lose the relationship, when it's over, the business goes bad, the partner screws you over, you don't go, screw that, they got me, because you're just tucking it in. You need to feel it. You need to, it's like, think about if you could make it a shape, right? Your relationship's over. I'm using that. Let's just say it's your business. Like, it's over. Picture it's a shape. What we do is we go, oh, that's painful. Boom, I'm going out, getting drunk with the boys, gonna hook up with another person, and that's it. Like, you didn't get over it. You just tucked it someplace. I promise you, when you're alone or you're hungover in 4 months from now, you're gonna start crying all day on a Sunday going, where's this coming from? Because you just tucked it in. So if you think of it as an object, instead of tucking it in, Michael Singer had a great analogy in The Untethered Soul. It's like, you bring it in and you look at it and go, man, this sucks. This is painful. Stare at it, feel, cry, know it's a loss, but know that this is part of your journey and there's some gift in this, and you might not even see the gift now. So if you could get to a point, and I'm not this emotionally evolved yet either, I work on it every day, but there's a point where you'll go, this sucks, I feel it, I might not see the gift in it right now, but I hope I will soon, and thank you for this. And then you let it go. Like the Minority Report with Tom Cruise. Remember he had the glove on and swipe stuff? It's like, see it, stare at it, feel it, and then wipe it out of your life, rather than going, this didn't happen, because when you do that, you're just really tucking it in a place and it'll come out.
You have any more tactical things for people out there that are going through a really low point, like when you had that Motor Millions thing where you had to pay back all this money, that anxiety, or what you just mentioned with the divorce? Speak to that person who's at that low point right now.
Yeah, so what I'd say is what happens when you're in the midst of crap is you start thinking of all the things, we all do this, you start thinking of all the things that could go wrong, and then you think about all the things you could do to potentially fix them. And it feels like a mountain. Like, oh my God, if the money doesn't come in, I can't pay my rent, people make fun of me, I'll probably lose my girlfriend, I can't do this, I can't go on that vacation, or whatever it is. If I break up, what if I'm alone forever? What if I miss her? Like all these things. When I was going through my divorce, I was thinking about my kids, all the things that could go wrong with them. And I was freaked out because I kept looking at all the things that potentially could happen. I was making up all these stories in my head because nothing actually did, right? But then there was a moment when I realized that I had to obsess on a compelling future, right? Not just the hype or the motivation, saying, hey, I'm going through a really tough time, but what would be ideal if it was a year from now? So if you're going through a tough time, a couple things I'd say is you really have to force yourself to write down what would be your ideal life in 1 year from today. And then you know how often you got to look at it? Every day. You got to get up when you're feeling sad and go, no, but this is where I'm going to be in a year. You got to get up when things don't feel right, but this is where I'm going to be going in a year. You need that compelling future that drives you. It's the beacon of light. You got to stick the beacon of light a year out in front of you and go, I'm going through hell. I'm on a ship and I'm in the middle of a storm, but if I sail for a little while, eventually I'll get to calm seas heading towards that beacon of light. You might be in a storm, but know that storm was designed for you. Know, yes, it sucks, but you have to have the compelling future. And one other thing that I think it came to mind, and I want to share this, is try to think of one thing that can get you exponential results. What's the one problem you could solve that solves many? I'll give you a quick example. If you're in the middle of shit right now, when I was going through a divorce, I was so stressed about my kids. I was stressed about seeing them, and I travel a lot. There was a million things. Believe me, my parents were married 9 times, so I have all these fears about what divorce does to kids. And I had a million things I thought could go wrong, and yes, I was focusing on them. And then I was trying to do a million things to fix them. I was doing yoga and meditation. I was working out more. I was going to see my buddy Tony Robbins. I was going therapy once a week. I was doing all these things to try to fix it. And then one day I'm like, what's one thing that could solve all this? And for me, I was like, wow, if I truly become dear friends with my ex-wife, all those problems go away. If we hate each other, we resent each other. It'll be hard when I date someone new. It'll be hard for the kids. She might talk about me when I'm not there. We might disagree on parenting styles. All the things I was worried about. The one thing that fixed all of it was being friends with my ex. So then all of my attention, all of the energy went into how do I know she's heard? How do I become a real friend? How do I grow as a man and fix the things I did in the past? I put all my energy for 3 months on letting my ex know that I was here as a friend. And today, she is a dear friend of mine. And we are co-parenting, and we have the most amazing kids in the world, and all the anxiety went away because I solved one problem. So being friends with my ex solved 1 million of them. Your company right now, hiring someone to help you with marketing, might solve all of them. Obsessing on selling might solve all the problems. So many people I see in companies, they're trying to solve 15 different departments. I said, you're struggling because you have no cash flow. Stop all the bullshit. Stop worrying about your CRM and your this department and that department and what building and what color your logos. Get your ass to selling. Get your ass to marketing. Learn Facebook marketing. Learn YouTube marketing, because guess what solves lots of problems? Money. Sales solve problems. Sales buys you the new CRM. Sales buys you the new website. Sales buys you the new building, right? So as simple as that might sound, I've really run my businesses and my life on those core principles. Do the things that move the needle in your life. Is there one problem you could solve that exponentially solves other problems? And those things also can get you out of the rut you're in. Simultaneously solving one problem that can have results in multiplying your results while you're looking at a beacon of light on where you want to go is probably 2 of the biggest game changers I could share with you. If you remember anything from this, those 2 things, solve one problem that solves many and have your beacon of light. While I was saying I'm going to be friends with my ex, using that as an example, I also said within a year from now, I'm going to be in the best relationship of my life. My ex and my new relationship are going to get along. My kids are going to be thriving. I got goosebumps as I'm saying it, because within a year, I was in the best relationship of my life. I'm married again now. I'm having a baby right now.
Wow.
I'm not having a baby. I look pretty damn good.
You look pretty good.
But while I'm solving this, I'd still peek up out of the shit and go, but that's where I'm going to be in a year. Okay, let me go back in. It's like you're in the pool, hold your breath, you go back down, you're fixing, you come back up and you go, oh, that's where I'm going to be? All right, it's worth fighting for. Remember that, and you'll be good.
I got goosebumps when you were saying that, man. I'm chilling with Dean Graziosi in his studio. I watch you, man, this is a really cool moment for me, so I just want to share that with people. One thing I really wanted to ask you, it was in like my number one question for you, is so I'm a huge fan, I've seen you, every time I see you on an ad, an infomercial, your YouTube, on stage, you just have this energy. How do you get that energy, that like laser-like focus, where you can just take something and just riff on it for 15 minutes like you just did?
Yeah, so a couple things. One is time. I've been doing this for a long time. So one is practice. If you're going to be an online influencer or offline, or you're going to be in business, if video is ever going to be a part of your life, just start doing videos every day. Don't worry about if people critique you. People who critique you are going to be the ones wearing your jersey someday, okay? So remember that. So just start doing it. But if you're going to be on the phone selling, start selling. Like, just start doing it. Like, when I look back, all the videos I did built the ability to be able to express myself on camera, right? So just start doing it is one thing. The second thing I believe is really important is the biggest sales job we have to do in our life is sell ourselves on a daily basis. So many times we'll set a goal at the end of December, beginning of January. We look at it, we get excited, this is going to be my best year ever, and then we don't look at the goal again until next year and see that we didn't achieve it, right? And sometimes we set a goal and we look at it every quarter. If you're not where you want to be, remember we were talking about that compelling future? Write down your compelling future today, now. Like, this isn't listen, I'm not some guy that hoped to be successful. I've been blessed to do horrible and achieve great things. So I'm telling you, if you don't have your compelling future written down, if you don't know what the ideal life would be for you in a year from now, and you don't look on it on a regular basis, then it's almost impossible to get there because the world is so distracting and people are going to try to throw you off. So what keeps me motivated is I really know what my compelling future is. I know what where I want to go. So I'm going to give you a little example. A buddy of mine was coaching a high-level person, somebody you would all know, and she had been trying to lose weight for 5 years. And she set goals, and she had timers, and she had the food app, and nothing would work. And my buddy, who was hired to consult with her, said, when were you at the ideal weight for you? And she was, oh my God, just 10 years ago. I love the way I look. So they found a picture of her 10 years ago. They framed it and made it life-size and put it in her kitchen. So every day she had to go, when do you have to sell yourself? Every day, a sales job. Every day she had to go in the kitchen, go in the refrigerator, and look at her ideal weight. 90 days later, Boom.
Wow.
Ideal weight after 5 years because it was in front of her every day. Here's what I know. Every day, I know where my compelling future is now. And success changes at every level in life. I fight for the freedom to go pick up my kids at 3:30. No one's ever taken that away from me. You'd have to kill me to take that away from me. I also know that I love my team. My team is like my family. We're building another big company. I want to show up for them. I love impacting people's lives. Hopefully I got to impact yours a little because I didn't have somebody there, so I want to deliver that, right? And I know right now at this phase of my life for the next 20 years, and my buddy Tony Robbins helps implant this in my head, I have a megaphone, and I have a voice, and I have books that sell millions of copies. I want to make as much impact as I can from now until the last time I close my eyes. And if I came up here today and said, yes, Clark, I've been doing this for 30 years. I got a lot of wisdom. What would you like to know today? Would you freaking listen to me? Right? The only way I can, I hope you know this is real enthusiasm. I'm not selling you something right now. I'm trying to motivate you, inspire you through authenticity, through enthusiasm. And I just know if I'm not this best version of myself, why the hell would you listen to me? There's 500,000 other videos you can watch, but you're still here. So I hope my personality, my enthusiasm does it. And I've just not trained myself, but like before I was on stage this weekend at my dear friend Rachel Hollis's event, 6,000 women. Amazing. And then my buddy Jeff Walker's LaunchCon. I did both those last weekend. Before I go out on stage, I don't think to myself, man, I got to be good so I look good, or I got to sell. What I do is, man, these people are here. They flew across the country. Just like you, there's a million videos you could be listening to. You're here. I got to deliver the freaking best of me, because if I'm going to make sure I'm always in control of my life and I'm going to leave impact and my team's going to have a great company that they'll probably take over someday, man, I got to be my freaking best. And I'm backstage, like my energy, like literally I'll start getting goosebumps before I go on. I'm like, oh, I'm going to light these guys up. Oh, they deserve exactly what I'm getting. I'm all fired up and people are like, how do you have so much energy? Like, how could you not? If you don't have energy for what you do, go do something else. Simple as that.
Love it, man. Hey, Underdog Advantage talks a lot about what we've been talking about in this interview. You know, wearing your own jersey, not someone else's, not listening to criticism, being in the arena. Can you talk a little bit more about this? I'm really excited to dive into this.
Yeah, so here's how I looked at it. So I've written books on how to make money in real estate, right? But then I realized people needed the foundation. We talked about it. You're like, how are you successful in all these things? I'm like, people need the habits. Like, hands down, if you read Millionaire Success Habits, if you haven't, you should. It's one of the best-selling books of the last couple of years. It's because it goes upstream. And all the stuff we're talking about, plus lots of others, on how you could shift out habits that aren't serving you, that maybe your parents or society gave you, and shift in new habits that can excel your life, right? So then I'm thinking about, okay, so I went upstream. This is how my brain works. I went upstream. I give you the tactics, but if I don't give you the habits and the mindset, then they're never going to work. So then I'm like, what's one thing above the habits? Well, a lot of people get derailed because they feel like they're an underdog. I mean, as if I ask you right now, if you were in front of me on stage, I just asked 6,000 women at the Rise event, who in here is or feels or once have felt like an underdog? Everybody raised their hand. 100% of the room raised their hand. Not one person said, oh, I'm privileged. Nothing wrong here. So when we feel like an underdog, it kind of gives us this excuse like, I could make it if my family supported me. I could make it if I was born in a different era. Oh, I could make it. It was easy to be a millionaire when Dean was young. It was before all this stuff. Or like we all have these things, and what is sad is 97% of the world, it becomes their anchor. I would have made it if I didn't hurt my knee in high school, I would have been in the game. I would have went to college, I would have played pro ball. If my girlfriend didn't leave me and break my heart, I would have found a good relationship. If the economy didn't shift and I lost all my money in real estate, I had to go bankrupt, I'd be a multi-millionaire real estate investor. And what happens is, and I don't mean, this is gonna sound really disrespectful, but I don't mean it in this way. This is why I write these books, to shift and help people, is those things happen to so many people, and the majority of people take that and accept it. They latch on the anchor, and that's the life they live. And a lot of times when I meet a non-foreign Uber driver, I'm gonna tell this story, and I've never said this before. When I meet a foreign Uber driver, they're like on fire. Like, this is just a stepping stone. I'm here, I already got 2 cars, I'm getting my 3rd one, but I'm gonna do this for 6 months, then I'm gonna start this business with my wife. But if I get an American dude, you usually say, oh, I recognize you from those books. You know, I was in the real estate game, but when the economy turned, man, took it all out. I'm done with that crap. Like, legit. I tell my wife that, and she's like, no. And now she's like, oh my God, you're right. We always get the story on how it almost happened. Right? And I don't want that to be. I don't want that for you or for anyone. So when I wrote this book, I wanted to go upstream and show you that actually being an underdog is your greatest unfair advantage in the history of the world, because, I'm going to read some of these chapters. I got to show you. Because I had nothing, underdogs have nothing to lose. When you're privileged, or when you're Goliath, you have everything to lose. David has nothing to lose. If I get beat, I should have. If I don't, I'm a freaking hero, right? Underdogs, chapter 2 is the power of you can't. Here's what I know. For many years of my life, when family and friends said, you don't have the money, you have the smarts, it's not the right time, all these things, I'd be like, maybe I can't. But there was this time when it shifted in my life, where when people told me that I couldn't, it became my superpower. It became my rocket fuel. Let me just ask you, if you have kids, great. If you don't, someday, would you rather give your kids resources, give them $1 million to start their own business, or, you had to make one or two choices, or teach your kid to be relentlessly resourceful? What would you rather give them, $1 million or resourcefulness? 100 out of 100 times resourcefulness, because money doesn't create wealth. How many times do you know people that get money, hit lotto, their parents give money, they're trust fund kids, and they go nowhere because they're not resourceful. So if you want to wish for something, don't wish for resources, wish for resourcefulness, but you got to know how to use it. That's why I wrote a whole chapter on it. If you go upstream and you get the right habits, but then one more is, if I'm empowered by the crap that I thought was my kryptonite, it's actually my rocket fuel, then what can stop you? I can't wait for everybody to get it in their hands. Millionaire Success Habits was a monster hit. I think this one's going to blow right past it.
Guys, if you got excited just hearing Dean share that story, I mean, imagine what the whole book can do. So it'll be in the link below. Definitely going to geek out on this.
Yeah, we created a special link for you. You can go to clarkslink.com. If you go to clarkslink.com, we got a special promotion for you guys because we had so much fun here.
How cool is that, man? Hey, Dean, thank you so much for coming on this show.
Oh,
it was
awesome,
a pleasure,
dude.
man. I'm fired up just having this. So thank you.
You got it, man. For everybody else, just keep after it. Literally, the world will tell you in a million different ways you shouldn't. Find that as fuel. And, at the end of our life, if we just know we tapped into our full potential, then we went after it. So don't give up.
Hey, it's Clark back again. What'd you guys think? Man, was that a roller coaster or what? Even ragged on the suits a bit. That's okay. I can take it. I have thick skin. I like the suits, but maybe I am 10 years away from t-shirts. Who knows? Huge thank you to everyone on Dean's team. An amazing experience working behind the scenes with them and to make this happen for you. Two quick things before we leave. The first is I want to remind you that this show is free for you. All that we ask is that you share it with one person. So if you know a family member, a coworker, a boyfriend or girlfriend, a friend, someone that is close to you, you can share this with them or tag us on Instagram. We're highly likely to repost it. Send a DM, send a tweet, email this to someone. Get this and change as many lives as possible. All right. Second, go get Dean's new book right now. I got 2 copies right here, but they're mine. Okay, you can't have them, so you gotta get your own. I believe it's a free book. You just pay shipping and handling. Okay, so go there, get the free book. It'll be shipped right to you, and you can start diving in and immersing yourself in concepts like you just heard for the last 50 minutes. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep refusing to settle, stop settling, and start living.